for a meeting to look at what has been presented by NIMET and NISA. They go on with all these documents. This is a very clearly stated.
So, in other words,
we work in conjunction with the National Electricity Agency NOA, that has offices everywhere in the country. So these are the go cascade information we give to the grassroots.
Okay.
But the issue of enforcement is the problem. So we detail all that needs to be done. Physical structures, what you need individuals, government should do. They are always detailed, and that's better.
Can you highlight some of those things that you think governments in states can do? For in River State, for instance, it's becoming quite a routine thing now. Whenever it rains, we're beginning to see that. It's almost as though whenever these predictions come any year, River State is mentioned, and but then can you highlight some of the steps that has been suggested by the NHSA with how we can tackle this problem?
You see, let me mention some of them. The upper age flooding cycle. So that people, every year, people go to make medical checkup or do it routinely, number of times in a year, or at least once in a year. So, now, upper age rainy season, flooding cycle. So it happens. Villages are blocked. As well as they have been all put before. They got to block because I think that has transported from one side to the other. So we expect that the state should embark on sensitization of the citizens to clear their drainage, make them passable in the course of flooding. The state should summon the political will to remove structures that are blocking or impeding the floodway. I'm sure in Abuja, maybe because nobody goes for election in Abuja. So many structures are demolished in Abuja. More than almost 200 structures are demolished. And this year, so last year, 2022, no single death was recorded in the FC in Abuja because the FCT did the needful. So the state should be able to summon the political will to remove every structure that is obstructing the free flow of runoff during rainy season. Remove the structures. Don't allow people to build within the floodplain. Also, you should be able to carry out flood vulnerability mapping. For instance, the National Hydrological Agency in 2020, we carried out a detailed. No, in 2018, please, 2018, and it was unveiled in 2019, June, at the Hotel Presidential Port Harcourt. The flood vulnerability mapping of so many parts in the South, including River State. So many state officials were there. We gathered this blueprint, the document. These are things you should follow in the master plan or the development of your state, River State we're talking about now. So the document, flood vulnerability mapping, it gives you the fingerprint of flood once it begins to rain. Where there are no existing drainage, you should put one. People shouldn't be developing estates without making provision for flood. You see, you don't give them a virgin land, maybe 10 hectares have been given to some developer. He goes, use his biro or pen and then begin to apportion plots here and there. We fail to understand that you should also give plots to flood. Because once it begins to rain, water was always part of this level. But if you do proper environmental impact assessment, flood vulnerability mapping of that particular place you want to begin to develop as an estate, it will give you the fingerprint of the flood once it begins to generate. And then you make adequate provision, the waterways, you provide for it. Instead of maybe building 100% or 95% of the estate. You can allot about 5% for flood and construct adequate drainage system that will empty into adjoining river courses. These are usually not done.
Okay, Mr. Engr.
People are not well enlightened to know what they should do. Individuals also should stop dropping refuse indiscriminately.
All right, Mr. Enze, we'll come to the role of individuals in all of this. We have a very short commercial coming because when we return, we'll open the phone lines. We're going to take questions from the listener, and we have a guest in the studio too who might have a question or two. So just stay on the line for us, please. Thank you very much. Evaristus Nicholas joined us in the studio. Is an environmental activist. He will be also contributing on this conversation this morning. You that is listening, I'm sure you have questions. Use our various social media platforms to get your questions across to us. We'll also open the phone lines in a matter of minutes. On Facebook, it is Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. On Twitter, it is Nigeria Info PH. The WhatsApp number is 0809 030 6416. Engr is the Director General for the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency. Is going to still be with us on the show to respond to the questions that you might have. When we come back, we'll also speak with my guest in the studio. Nigeria Info, stay tuned.
When it comes to the cost of doing business anywhere
on Facebook and Twitter. Join in on the conversation. Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. On Twitter, Nigeria Info PH. My guests at the moment, Director General, Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, Engineer Clement Onyeaso Engr, is with us via telephone. I also have an environmental activist with us in the studio, in the person of Evaristus Nicholas. You're welcome. Good morning to you.
Thank you, Femi, for having me.
And let's quickly get back to Mr. Engr so we can wrap this up. Thank you, sir, for staying with us on the line.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll be opening the phone lines as well so we can get contributions from our listener. You have questions you want to ask, you want to make your contributions. We still have the guests with us via telephone, so let us hear from you. The numbers to call are 0817-923-0009, 0817-923-0003. Again, 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0009. You can also do well to send us WhatsApp messages. The number is 0809-030-6416. A lot of complaints, especially after the rains yesterday. And it's almost as though whenever it rains now, parts of Port Harcourt, major roads are usually flooded, which raises a lot of question as to when we even construct this infrastructure, what do we put into consideration? How well thought out are these projects? What are the plans like? Well, let's get on to our guest, Mr. Engr. Thank you. So quickly, you highlighted a few things that has been suggested to state governments and local governments and federal governments to do if we are to tackle this flood situation and come out of it. And you've said that these reports have been submitted. But is the NHSA worried that year after year you reel out these reports and these predictions or forecasts or warnings or whatever we want to call them? You reel them out year after year. You make these suggestions year after year, but then not much change is seen. Not much is being done to perhaps forestall the impending damage that the floods could cause. Or is it that things are being done and we are not aware of it? If you can share with us.
Thank you so much. That's actually the challenge we face as an agency. That we come out year in, year out to reel out the better information. What should be done? Most of the states don't do anything. I'm sorry to say that. Let me give an example. At the peak of flooding, say July, August, September, and even now, due to climate change, October, we sent memos to Mr. President to update him on what has happened so far, and then what is likely to happen in the next 5 days. We give it every week. We make that projection because we have the parameters to do the forecast. That is what is going to happen. We mention the steps in the next 7 days. So on the basis of our report to Mr. President, which is done through the Substantive Minister of Water Resources, Mr. President gave a directive last year that a presidential committee be set up. It is called Presidential Committee for the Development of Comprehensive. This is made up of some frontline ministers, water resources, environment, agriculture, transportation, and then the government secretaries and the state. The committee was inaugurated at the presidential villa on the 3rd of November last year. Now, the committee was given 90 days ultimatum to come up with a comprehensive action plan to prevent the disaster that associate and always associate go along with the flooding in Nigeria. At the end of it, or before we conclude our report, we singled out 2 states per geopolitical zone to visit. Now, I led the team that came to South. What are the 2 states? Which are the 2 states? Bayelsa and Rivers State. Because we want to come and see firsthand what happened in the course of the year, flooding season in 2022. went to places like Kogi State and the Benue for North Central, Anambra and Imo for Southeast, and so on and so forth in that order. To tell you that the states don't cooperate, I led the team to South. We sent out letters ahead of time and signed by the supervisory minister, Mr. Suleiman Adamu, detailing the places in each of those states, and that this thing will be arriving on social date. I'm sorry to say it, I'm on time. Rivers State didn't receive us. Every move we made, give us a commissioner. We were received by the deputy governor of Bayelsa State. We could see him with us going to all the nooks and crannies of Bayelsa State that we are flooded, taking pictures, recommending where we should to put some flood walls. Where are going to deep? What are we going to do? We traveled everywhere. Likewise, others they were received. But we came to Rivers. Well, I'm sorry to say, it was a special committee. But we were received by junior staff in one. I don't know which ministry it is that received us eventually. And we couldn't go anywhere. Because nobody said they can't take us to anywhere. Even at our own cost. Because the government are taking charge of whatever we came to do. So many states don't cooperate with the federal government to address, to do the needful.
All right, Mr.
Come back and put up our report.
All right, Mr. Engr. Let's just take a few calls from our listener. We'll also hear from the guests in the studio who might have a few questions for you. But Charles is in Bonny Island. Charles, good morning.
Good morning, Jude.
All right, straight to your question or contribution, please.
Contribution. I think the government are making a hell of money from this thing. 1 billion naira last year, nobody can give account of it. So they like when it happened, they make a hell of money. Jude, if you can remember, I've been calling for drainages in Bonny. Nothing is happening. Just grass that covers those drainages. Even the one close to the government lodge. But once it became flood, enter people's house, they will not vote out money and squander it. The government are deliberate of doing this thing to us. Thank you, Jim.
All right, Charles. Thank you very much. Quickly, Mr. Evaristus, you heard the DG, Mr. Engr, and some of the things he said with regards to the plans and advice that's been given to government and steps and things that they can do. What would you say is responsible for why in Rivers State, for instance, we have that situation? Many have said we have certain properties that are on the right of ways of water, not just by individuals, even for corporate organizations, companies. We see how flooded our roads get whenever it rains. It's almost as though we have just gutters, but not a proper drainage system, because it's almost as these things don't link. And if it rains now, it's the NTA road is one area I could mention. The farm road is another area I could mention. There are parts of GRA that suffer the same thing. There are many parts that you want to, if you to look at now in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, Obiakpo or Falga, it's one hell of a mess when it rains. What could be responsible for why we are not taking these things seriously as a government?
First, let me again greet our Director General, who is on also a guest via phone. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brother.
You're welcome. And to our listeners, good morning. Okay, for me, I believe that a lot of things are contributory to the reason why we have flooding in Nigeria. Like you've mentioned, some are of the reason, some are because some powerful individuals that have link with government officials, build in certain quarters where no one can actually touch them. They are the don't touch of the state. Some are built by the people in the government themselves, so they cannot for any reason demolish their own property. Okay. But
we have a planning town planning
We used to.
I'm pretty sure if you want to buy land now, there are places you have to go and clarify now. So we still do. And their job would be to ensure that, these things, the town is properly planned and these plans are followed.
Are you aware that?
And the director said, we have advised this is how they should do these things. So why are we not seeing it that way?
Are you also aware that if you are buying land, for example, in the Greater Port Harcourt city now, you go to Greater Port Harcourt, the person you meet to chart the land for you can tell you this area is somehow government this, the government that, but don't worry, these things are no longer existing. Because in Nigeria, government is not a continuous thing. A man just finishes office. To be surprising to you that when he leaves on 29, the next person that takes over begins his own agenda, not continuing from where he stops. So that's why we don't give plans for 20 years, for 30 years, because no one will follow it up. That's why we are facing what we are facing. Like I said earlier, some are are done by individuals, some are also done by corporate entities, like in my place. I've given you an example of how NIOC, Nigerian Ajib Oil Company Limited, built oil facilities blocking water right of way without EIA, not even a post EIA, and covers these facilities, okay, and cover water right of way. So as a result, our people packs out of the community every year, fare for themselves, and nobody asks them how do they do. Rivers State government through the Ministry of Environment challenged Ajib, and Ajib kept dormant, and it's been like that. Yes, I commend Ministry of Environment. They tried by going to court, for Ajib failing to obey their laws. But you see, Ajib has been bringing preliminary objection, frustrating the process over and over and over since 2015 till today.
Let's get back to Director Mr. Engr. We'll get parting words from, because we don't have a lot of time. Perhaps what you think should be done. You have said the visit to Rivers State wasn't as fruitful as you thought, and you've said state governments do not really support. Let's hear what this caller says first before we come to you. Leighton Barry is in Bori. Okay, we lost that call. Mr. Engr, so what would you say now needs to be done? Because the rainy season is just starting, and it would get worse. And we are expecting what we, even if not worse than what we saw last year. The areas that were impacted by flood the last time, those areas have still not been taken care of. The roads that were damaged have not been rebuilt. It's almost as though not much attention has been given to some of the things that happened, not to talk about now having plans to prevent what is coming. What is the way forward?
Well, like I said, ours remains advisory. We see ahead of time, and then we warn as early as possible. And early warning coupled with early action will save the day. Let the government, just as they mobilize to do politics, go to the grassroots, do all kinds of things during electional campaign. Please let them take action, take it as serious as that. Like when we had COVID-19, we have Ebola. There was, you could say, action everywhere. I recall in 1985 force or thereabout war against indiscipline. So I'm advising as government at this time to mobilize the citizens. Go to the grassroots. We have local government chairmen, we have councillors. They come from villages, communities. Let them be mobilized to sensitize the people to clear their drainage. And those who must move have to move at this point in time. And I'm just approaching the heat of rainy season. Federal government from Abuja cannot come to do it there. Like the first caller mentioned, you see that some states are often, waiting for the disaster to occur. And then they spend billions. Last year, 665 persons and more died. 665 people, according to NEMA report, died. Can you bring them back, no matter how much you are going to give to the families? According to World Bank, $6.68 billion was lost in Nigeria, taking everything together in 2022. You can't talk about over 2 million people that are displaced. Infrastructure grounded everywhere. But certain percentage should have been used to do some work ahead of time. I belong to the committee, President Committee on Flood Relief and Rehabilitation, co-chaired by Aladaliko Dangote and the Chief Olisa Makoba. Now, some funds were made available to assist people that are, affected by flood. But we expect also that commensurate measures should be taken to funds made available to agencies of government that are at the upstream sector of flood-related emergency or disaster, not waiting to spend so much to cushion the effect of disaster when it has happened. So, apart from individuals taking action, government taking action, we ask that the funds be made available. We predict we don't have enough equipment to do what we are doing. What I'm speaking now maybe applies to the federal government to carry out some of these activities so that we'll be able to cover the entire territory properly.
All right,
and
Mr.
also
Nze.
issue advice as early as possible like we did this year.
Okay. Mr. Nze, thank you very much for your time with us. We'll keep in touch for any further developments from time to time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Let's open the phone lines. Let's take some of your calls and questions. The question now is largely, is it that the fate of the people is now in their hands? Because it's beginning to look that way. Is the fate of the people now in their hands? Is it now looking like a thing of do what you can to help yourself? If year after year, I remember a community we went to close to the Imbiama area. Yeah. And that was about some 3 years ago. And when we spoke to them, they said, now it's up to us because every year now go come talk to us. Nothing they change. It's still the same thing. So now we've opted to just do it ourselves however we can when we've known the flood will come and we know that government is not going to do much, so we just help ourselves. Is that what the case is now? Is that what it has brought people to begin to look at, helping yourself however you can? Some people would say the predictions also is like a warning for people who are in lowland areas to move up to higher grounds. Let's hear from you. 08179230009, 08179230003, 08179230003, 08179230009. Mr. Nicholas, should we be concerned? Is that where we are now?
Of course, that's where we are. If you watch the report of NIMET, they are forecasted that over 600 persons died in 2022 and over 2.4 million persons were displaced. I give it to the director who has spoken, but in Nigeria, if they can report officially 600 persons dying, it means it should be up to 1,000 and okay. Now, actually, these reports we are supposed to serve as a warning, because if you watch in the report, there are list of states, both in the north and in the south, that are mentioned. The amount of rainfall that each of those states will be having were mentioned, and those are huge rainfalls. It should be a warning for the governments of those states to actually, up their games, because individuals don't have what it takes to protect themselves from all this.
Let's go to Rumokoro for a minute. JJ, good morning.
In the studio and that one on the line. I want to ask the one on the line what is wrong if they go to those areas now and do maybe investigation. Andrew, I want to tell you that last year I was in some of the local government through Switch On, an organization owned by the governor-elect, right? Now, I was in Abua, Odua. The whole of Odua, all the villages in Odua were flooded. And they were all moved to the local government headquarters in Abua. The whole of Ahoda West was flooded. The IDPs were all moved to Ahoda East in some schools. Now, what do you expect the local government chairman to do? How do you now go and look for high ground so that you can stay. Now that the whole of Odwa is flooded, where is the high ground there? And a place you see as high ground today may not be high ground tomorrow when the flood comes, because water will always find its level. So what do you expect them to do? That is supposed to be a national emergency. If a full local government is flooded and half of the local government is flooded, the whole of Onega is flooded. What do you want the local government and the state to do? So they should come and do visual inspection and know the area so that they're not just talking. Oh, we have informed them.
All right,
JJ.
To do what? I'm pretty sure you heard the director said. Okay, JJ, thank you very much. But I'm pretty sure the director said they came to River State.
And they were not accepted. Okay.
And nobody took them around.
He said it. Maybe because they didn't come to discuss the number of oil that is output in River State. Perhaps that would have been what the governor would have been interested in. Or who will support him and produce his, what's that his name again? Sim. Okay. It's quite unfortunate. Since the government is irresponsible, I said it last time and I'm saying it again. The governments that we have in Nigeria are irresponsible governments. If not, did you observe the way they reacted on issue of
scarcity of naira?
Scarcity of naira and the sickness, what do you call it again?
Ebola, COVID.
Because that one, you even in your bedroom, that one have no respect for you as a governor, and so they found reason to attack it everywhere. We saw the governor on the street stopping cars and making sure by himself, he was a task force chairman himself, to ensure that people were in their houses. But what happened to issue of flood? He is living in the government house. He built a house and a bridge beside his house at Ada George. Therefore, it doesn't affect him. So why should he bother himself going around to check what's happening to the citizen? These are the things that make government lose its legitimacy, when you don't have time to take care of your people. And as long as we are concerned, it's all man on your own. Nigerians, this warning, just take the part you can be able to handle yourself and take care of yourself to ensure that you are alive. That's what I have to say.
On WhatsApp, some of the messages here says, Henry, good morning, Mbiama. The road is blocked, no movement. Community is protesting deplorable state of the road and constant breakdown, tipping over of trucks. Please, the government should do something. And we know how badly the flood affected that part of the road last year.
It's laughable. Why will government do something when the one that happened? This is the one that happened last year. Mm-hmm. They have forecasted another one to be bigger this year. Something has not been done over the last year's own. Now another one is going to happen. No problem. When they fly, as long as this report is concerned, I think this report too affected the air, where people who fly will have to be careful the way they fly. So if our first air, our first land, all of us will remain in the house now. So
all right. Thank you very much, Evaristus Nicholas, for your time. We would have to wrap things up at this point. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. Remember, you can go over again if you want to listen to the whole conversation. We have it live on Facebook, Nigeria Info PH, on Twitter, Nigeria Info on Facebook, Nigeria Info 92.3 PH, on Twitter, Nigeria Info PH, and you can go hear what was said, and hopefully this time we put our house in order before the flood comes. It's already beginning. I mean, it rained yesterday, and when it rained, plainly roads were all flooded and covered. And I've seen it one time while I was on the NTA road, and that happened towards the location axis. It was something else. Farm Road, all of those areas covered. I mean, completely covered. We need to begin to do more, and perhaps more questions need to be asked with how we construct our roads and what we do. The East-West Road, if you observe, many parts of it, no drainage. So how do we do this? Was that not included in the contracts? These are things that should be looked at. My name is Ifeemi Andrew. Jude is coming in for Hello Port Harcourt. Do stay tuned.
Go, go, go.